Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Chastity and I'm going to show you today how we make one of our favorite dishes called chicken paprika. This is a dish that we almost simultaneously discovered together. Steven was listening to Dracula on audiobook and they kept referencing this chicken paprika dish except for in the Hungarian language, and then I came across this recipe in the Fannie Farmer Cookbook and I made it and we talked about it. It was like, that is the dish. So Steven had been wanting to try it and I came across it, so we did it, and it has been a staple in our household ever since. It's a pretty simple dish, but it's a really tasty dish. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe and like our video. Okay, so leave us a comment as well, and I hope you'll try this recipe out. It's a really good recipe. It doesn't even take much seasoning. It's essentially the salt and paprika. So but the paprika is what really makes it the dish. I'm going to read it from the cookbook. It's a Hungarian dish, and it's good served with, sometimes it says it's good served with wide noodles. A lot of times we have it with egg noodles, and then sometimes we just have it over rice. It just depends on what we have in the house. And we always have rice, but sometimes we'll have egg noodles. So this calls for 3 pounds of chicken in quarters. I usually do that, but I am out of whole chickens. I could pull other pieces in, but I wanted to, we've been going through a lot of our chicken breasts, so I wanted to go through some of our leg quarters. And this is actually about 4.5 pounds, so I'm gonna fix the recipe. I'm gonna eyeball it to fit it better. So, but 3 pounds of chicken in quarters, 4 tablespoons of butter. Got my butter. 1/2 cup chopped of onion, and I usually just do a whole onion. Salt, 2 tablespoons of sweet Hungarian paprika. We only have smoked paprika. I don't really know where we would get Hungarian unless we ordered it, but I think that it's probably not far off in flavor. 1 tomato peeled and chopped. Do not have a tomato, but I do have some diced tomatoes in a can, and I'll use some of this and then save the rest of it for another dish. 1.5 to 1 cup of chicken broth. 3 tablespoons of flour, that kind of thickens our sauce up when we're done. 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and 1/2 cup of sour cream at room temperature. And you want to make sure your heavy cream and your sour cream is at room temperature or close to it at least, so that it doesn't scald whenever you put it into your dish. Okay, and that's it. So let's get started. Steven will be happy about this one.
So I have my big pan here, and I had been cooking my sourdough in my pan, so I had a little bit of the burned whatever on the bottom. I washed it. I couldn't get it off, but the butter here actually manages to get it off, so that's wonderful. But it didn't affect the flavor, so that's good. First, we rinse and pat our chicken dry, and then we're going to melt our butter in our pan, and we're going to add in onion. I usually like to julienne my onion, but for some reason I diced it this time. I'm not sure why. Just not thinking, I guess. And we're going to cook that onion until it's slightly browned. One thing that I mean to do differently every time is take my onion back out of the pan once it reaches lightly brown. The recipe does not call to do this. It just has you put the chicken back in once the onion is lightly browned, and then you're cooking your chicken. However, I usually have a lot more chicken to cook than can fit in my pan, so it takes several rounds of cooking chicken, and my onion eventually will get too dark, which it did in this case too, but it still was fine. Another thing is I get very impatient with the chicken. It's supposed to be brown on either side. You're salting it once you put it in the pan, and I just get super impatient. And you're not cooking the chicken through, you're just wanting it to brown on both sides. So add the chicken, sprinkle with salt. Once it's brown, remove them from the pan, set those aside. And then this is where we're going to add in our paprika. You mix in your paprika. The recipe is 2 tablespoons. I used quite a bit more, but we do enjoy the paprika. And you're just going to mix that in and let it cook for 1 minute. Once that is done cooking, you add in your tomatoes and you're going to add in your chicken broth. Here I'm eyeballing my tomatoes again because I didn't have one tomato. I just had tomatoes in a can, and I just put in how much I thought we might like. Stirred that around a little bit to kind of deglaze. And then I'm going to add in my chicken broth. The recipe calls for a half a cup and 1 cup of chicken broth. So first you add in half a cup of chicken broth. In this case, I added a whole pint of chicken broth. You're supposed to save your 1 cup to the end to mix in with your heavy cream. But I added in all of my broth in the beginning so that my chicken had enough liquid to cook in and simmer in. And then at the end, I just mixed my heavy cream in with what was left in the pot. Once you incorporate all that together, you lower your heat, let it simmer for 7 minutes, and then you return the chicken to the pan. Now the chicken is going to cook for 30 to 40 minutes. It took mine about 45 minutes to actually cook thoroughly. Once it's done cooking, I remove it from the pan again and I debone my chicken. I actually missed the video of me deboning the chicken and it being done and pulled out of the pot. I also missed the flour over the pan drippings. So you add in your flour first and you stir that in and you mix it and blend it and you let it cook for 3 minutes. Once that has cooked, you're going to gradually add enough chicken broth to make 1 cup of liquid. Then stir in the heavy cream. When that's heated back through, you turn the heat off and you're going to add your sour cream that should be at room temperature into your dish. Blend it quickly. Don't let it come to a boil because you don't want it to curdle. You then spoon all of that over your chicken that hasn't been deboned. But I do like deboning the chicken. And this is our final product. It's a really delicious dish. You should give it a try. Here is a screenshot of the original recipe if you want to write this down or grab you a picture of it. And go ahead and give that a try. Be sure to like our video, leave us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Shorebound Farms. Bye.